Good evening. I now call to order the work session for the Lake Havasu Unified School District Governing Board for April 2nd, 2026. If the secretary would call the roll, please.
Here.
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 Here. We will now have a moment of silent prayer or private reflection. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Item 2.1, I need a motion and a second for approval of agenda.
I move to approve item 2.1.
I'll second.
Secretary, if you will call the roll, please.
Here.
Yes.
Here.
Yes. All right. Item 3.1, Student Achievement Early Release Days. Ms. Christy Olson, welcome. We want to thank all of you for being here this evening for our special work session as we look at early release days. This is a discussion that the governing board is taking very serious. We understand that there's a lot of different opinions and feedback in regards to early release and what is best for everybody. And so we're here tonight to not just hear from the results of the committee, but also from you in the room this evening. You will have an opportunity to speak to this agenda item and give your input and any ideas that could help the governing board make the final decision what is best. And at the end of the day, for all of us, I believe we would say that student achievement and what is best for students is obviously why all of us are here. Our students, our teachers, staff, our administrators, and the governing board. So thank you for your patience through this agenda item in the last few weeks and your input. We all, I believe, have received numerous emails from parents, teachers, and staff, and thank all of you for your input on this agenda. So now we will turn it over to Ms. Olson. Good evening.
Just leave it on that one for a minute. Good evening, President Rose, members of the board. I'd like to provide some context regarding early release days and share the process that led to our recommendation. In 2014, following a failed override election, the district reduced full-year elementary specials, art, music, and PE, to 12-week rotations. This change resulted in a 2/3 reduction in elementary teacher prep time. Early release days were implemented as a cost-neutral solution to restore dedicated planning time for teachers and preserve instructional quality. To support families with students at multiple school sites, the district adopted a uniform early release schedule across all school levels. Currently, most elementary teachers receive between 45 and 60 minutes of planning time on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and between 0 and 35 minutes on Thursday, depending on their site and their position. Middle and high school teachers have roughly 55 minutes of planning on non-early release days and about 40 minutes on early release days. On March 25th, 27 stakeholders met to collaboratively develop a well-informed, stakeholder-supported recommendation for the inclusion of early release days in the academic calendar. During the meeting, the following information was shared. Earlier this year, we conducted a staff and family survey. The survey opened February 3rd for 1 week. We received 1,857 responses, 80% of which were from families. Staff expressed a preference for continuing early release days weekly with a fair split between Thursday or Friday. Families, however, overwhelmingly preferred weekly Friday early release. We also examined student and teacher attendance data from September 9th through October 31st. While this was a sample, it provided insight into attendance trends across elementary, middle, and high school. It's important to note that the Arizona Department of Education requires students to be in school for 180 days. ADE also has instructional time requirements. Primary grades, grades 1 through 3, require 712 hours of instruction per year. Intermediate grades 4 through 8 require 890 hours, and high school, grades 9 through 12, require 720 hours. These are minimal instructional times and are non-negotiable. ADE also provides recommended minutes for core subjects, which are not mandated, but they do guide our scheduling. At the elementary level, ELA and math are highly protected in our master schedules. When time is short, science and social studies are usually the first to be reduced or eliminated, not specials. In addition to core subjects, elementary schools also dedicate 20 minutes per day to Leader in Me. These recommended minutes do not account for programs like NOVA, fire safety, or financial literacy. At the middle school and high school levels, recommended minutes similarly guide scheduling. Although it isn't possible to extend math period due to time constraints, you can see that we follow pretty closely to ADE's recommendations. Analyzing pacing guides, we found many classrooms are able to cover roughly 66% of the adopted curriculum over the course of the school year. It is important to note that state testing begins immediately after third quarter. With all this context, we examined the pros and cons and the impact on instructional and planning minutes for 4 potential options. Eliminating early release days altogether. I know we've seen the pros and the cons. Go ahead. Can you go back just one? I just want to give them a minute. This is the impact so that you can see the total hours of direct instruction and then the total amount of time for preparation, teacher prep time. Okay, direct instruction does not include lunch or recess at the elementary level. Okay, go ahead. Okay, reducing early release days to 1 per month. Pros and cons we've already talked about. Okay, can you go to the next one? Yeah, just give them a minute to. Okay. Maintaining early release once a week. Okay. And then we also talked about the pros and cons of offering quarterly half days with a release at 11 a.m. And we looked at, you can go to the next one, possibly doing 4 half days or 6 half days or 8 half days and how that would impact instructional time and planning time. Okay. All right, following that, we went into a consensus protocol with the entire 27 members of the committee with individually processing time, moving into small groups, moving into larger groups, and then coming to whole group consensus. All right, go ahead. The recommendation from the committee is implementing a 1 p.m. early release every Friday, maintaining early release days on July 30th, October 1st, and December 17th. That's the first day of school, conferences previously approved by the board, and an 11 a.m. early release on May 20th, which is the last day of school. This schedule is anticipated to provide consistent protected time for teacher planning, professional development, and collaboration, and will promote continuity in teaching and learning. It also supports high school student athletes who may travel on Fridays and maintains after-school extracurricular opportunities and honors the preference expressed by families. We recognize potential challenges, including addressing childcare and transportation needs, strengthening student and staff attendance practices, and ensuring professional development and collaboration time is meaningful and high quality. To monitor the impact of early release, we will track academic and benchmark data, state assessment results, school goals, pacing guides, behavior trends, and student and staff attendance. Key considerations from the committee include establishing clear expectations, procedures, and accountability for staff and student attendance, implementing the plan as a trial, evaluating trends in data throughout the school year, and defining a consistent and realistic close of business on Fridays. This approach balances instructional needs, staff professional growth, and community considerations while allowing us to evaluate the effectiveness and make adjustments as needed. Thank you.
All right, at this time, thank you, Ms. Olson. Is there any questions from the governing board for Ms. Olson at this time? All right, then at this time, we will open up for comment from the public. If you come to the mic, please state your name, and you have 3 minutes to share with us any feedback that you may have. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Elijah Aston, and I'm a junior at the high school. To start off, I would like to make a suggestion about these work sessions. I've noticed that not many youth in our town attend these sessions or meetings, and I believe that the responsibility of giving the students an opportunity to advocate for themselves falls upon you, the school board. I think you could benefit from a student stakeholder or a student ambassador to ensure you're getting the viewpoints of the very people that this affects. I've been blessed to have many teachers, many who are in this room, that encourage me to go to these meetings and give my ideas, but many students do not have this. On the topic of early release days, I know you have heard many perspectives of different teachers, but I'm not sure how many student perspectives you've heard. Some students, myself included, have jobs that specifically schedule for Thursdays due to the early release. And for a specific example for schoolwork, today was the ACT, which is on an early release day to ensure that the testing flows smoothly without it disrupting other students. Personally, Thursdays serve as a test and quiz prep day. With an early release on Friday, my quizzes and tests would be on a Thursday, meaning that on Friday we would start new topics that I would forget over the weekend. I speak from a high school student opinion, and I know I don't have the administrative or teacher standpoint, but I do know that students enjoy the early release days and would prefer for it to stay on a Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Good evening. State your name for the board.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Berry. I'm the physical education teacher at Nautilus. This is my 23rd year with the district, and we have seen lots of these ideas come and go. There was a great deal of research done also before the Thursdays was adopted. One of the big concerns at that time was attendance on Fridays. One of the expectations and one of the goals that we are working on with Leader in Me is attendance, and I have great concerns. I understand that we're considering this for a year as a trial, but even in a year we can lose a lot of the ground that we have gained in attendance at schools, getting students to school. That's one of my main concerns. They've already addressed my concern about teachers having enough prep time to implement not only academic subjects, but the extra things like Leader in Me. We just got an email this afternoon talking about our Tier 2 instruction is going to be changing, and the teachers are going to have to learn and implement and have time to discuss progress and how it's going with that new thing, new program as well. My recommendation and my thought would be to leave it on Thursdays. I know parents have grown accustomed to it. It's been that way for a very long time. And I really, really have concerns about that Friday early release and how it's going to affect attendance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Anyone else? Oh,
Hello, I'm Becca Bennell. I work at Thunderbolt, and I used to work at Oro Grande. I wanted to just thank you for your consideration and your committee meetings. It sounded thorough, and I appreciated your research. Thank you. Thank you for honoring us as teachers and reserving for us that planning time. We all work longer hours than are on our contracts to get our work done and teach with proficiency. And I appreciate you guys keeping that in place for us. Also, as parents, it sounded like you guys did a great job listening to parent input, and I wanted to thank you for that.
All right. Thank you so much. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I will close call to the public, bring it back to the board for discussion. Good evening. All right, so member Ramon and myself had an opportunity to serve on this committee, and there was a lot of great feedback from teachers, from staff, a lot of things that some of the discussion were things that were emailed to us, and so kind of my input is I do think that we have a tough decision to make, and that not everyone, is going to be happy. Whatever decision that is made by this board, someone is going to be upset. But I think that as we're making this decision, two things are most important: is ensuring that student achievement is the center of what we're doing, and two, that we're supporting our teachers. We're very thankful for them. I know a lot of our teachers come in on the weekends and do work. I've had conversations with them. They're in the classrooms, prepping, grading papers. They're not just, a lot of our teachers are not just here Monday through Friday and leave and go home, but they come back on the weekends. Also, we have the input of the families who are the reason we're having this discussion, because we heard from several families who, for them, Thursdays has been a hardship because of work and schedules and those types of things. And the staff is split 50, almost 50-50. Some want to keep it on Thursday, some want to move it to Friday. And so I just ask that as we're making these considerations that we would be thoughtful of every person's input and just be kind to one another. And I know some of you, once the decision's made, you're not going to be happy. And I will say, one of the things that we learned in committee was there was another school district here in Arizona that does have early Friday release day, and they do you have that information, Ms. Olson, with you? And Ms. Olson spoke to that district, and if you would share what that district was able to tell you about their Friday early release.
I have so many documents. I reached out to 9 different districts around Arizona and in our region, including Levine, Maricopa, Deer Valley, Gilbert, Phoenix Elementary, Bullhead, Kingman, Needles, and River Valley, Colorado River Union High School, and Mojave Elementary District. Most of these districts have early release on Wednesdays. One district did have an early release Friday. That was Deer Valley Unified School District, so I talked to their equal director of student achievement. They have been in place for 4 years and have had no adverse effects on attendance with staff or students. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Olson. All right. Now I'll open it up for discussion.
But, glad the committee was formed and we went through that process. It is a tough, when you're looking at the number of hours we're losing towards education, it is quite a few. And that does strike me as an issue. However, we are actively working to fine-tune that within our current framework. And I do think we're going to have improvements already set in with that half day. So I think for now, I am fine with keeping the half day. That is the framework we've worked with for quite some time now. And I know that we are doing a lot of effort to improve our outcomes within that framework. I would say do the Friday and watch it for the year. If we have some astronomical increase in unattendance and things like that, okay, we learned and we'll move forward. My instinct is that if they're going to not be there on a Friday, they weren't going to be there on a Friday whether it was a full day or not. If a parent says, I'm out, they're going to be out regardless. Most of these parents, they work Monday through Friday. So them taking off their work, I have a feeling the child will be in the classroom regardless. And if they weren't going to be there, they weren't going to be there to start. So to not move it to Friday simply because it might increase that, I don't know if that's a realistic outcome. And then teachers increasing their absence, I mean, that's going to have to be an in-house. I believe that our teachers in this district are professional and are not just going to be like, ooh, half day Friday and bounce. They are professionals, and I think all the leaders will hold them accountable. So that concern, it is there, but I just don't know how much that would actually be seen. So I think my recommendation would be to go with the committee, switch it to Friday, do it as a test, look at the data, and see if we have those increases. It protects that teacher time, and it also meets the overwhelming parent output. So I appreciate the committee, and I would go with that decision.
All right, thank you, Vice President Houston.
I am glad that we did have the committee go over everything. To be realistic, if we're looking at student achievement, no half days is what would be necessary, flat out. But but since we did have that committee, and because we did put out a survey, doing Fridays is, I guess, the best idea for now, especially making it for a year to see where we end up.
And what's his name? Elijah. I understand your concern that a lot of businesses have tuned themselves to the district. They will make adjustments. It will, there's going to be an adjustment period no matter what we do. I think, private sector is pretty quick to adjust. So I understand the initial burden, but I think the community will adjust to the change as needed. I think the committee did a thorough and based off the input that we got from the parents, and unless we kind of go through with it and see whether it works or not, almost thumbing our nose at them. The overwhelming output was to move it to Friday.
All right, Member Rahman, Member Kern.
Yes.
So,
What was the split on the teachers for the percentage that wanted to keep it on Thursday versus move it to Friday?
It was almost 50-50 exactly. Let me look.
Yeah.
I think it was like 48% Thursday, 52 Wednesday.
Yeah, something like that.
And that was was that polling for the district, or that was just polling on the committee?
That was district. That was the initial
Yeah,
poll. Yeah.
So in reading, I was on the committee, and I also received a lot of emails from teachers. One of the common themes, and this is especially at the elementary level, is that the problem isn't so much the quantity of minutes, it's the quality of minutes. And they were saying that the early release days, that time for teachers is really essential for them to be able to do their planning, their articulation, and just the different professional development meetings that they have. And one suggestion, or this was kind of a common theme because I heard it from quite a few people, people who do intervention work and reading intervention, they said one way to increase the quality of minutes that we're offering is to increase the number of interventionists that we have on staff, that would make their minutes count more instead of necessarily making the day longer, make it more targeted and effective by having adequate staff. They said that a lot of teachers said that behavioral issues really distract and make it so that they can't necessarily get to all of their curriculum in a day, especially on those early release days.
Because 66% of the curriculum, that is concerning when we're not, I mean, if you're not getting the full curriculum to the student, how can they test on that full? You can't expect better than a 66, and that would be if they did perfect on what we did teach them.
Exactly, and that's the whole, so back when we adopted the textbooks, the whole point was to give each teacher guaranteed and viable curriculum. So we covered the guaranteed part of it by giving them textbooks that cover all the standards, but now we need to make sure that we're covering that viable part where they have the time to meet all of those standards during their day. And so again, that was one suggestion, and it just popped up over and over again in the emails that I received. As far as changing it from Thursday to Friday, I do think that it depends a lot on your risk tolerance, because as we heard today, and I've heard this again multiple times, even on a trial basis for a year, you are risking some learning loss during that year. We don't know how it's going to go. Maybe it'll be wonderful. Maybe we won't experience any learning loss, but we are taking that risk, and so we have to think of as a board, like, do we find that risk level acceptable or not?
Yeah.
I think that's all I have for right now.
All right, so for me, and going back to committee, some of the discussions that we had, one that I think covers some of the learning loss is extending the school day, specifically for our elementary teachers, by either a half hour to an hour, and then staggering our school times. Instead of the entire district all starting at 8 o'clock, the high school starts at one time, middle school starts at a different time than elementary, or middle and elementary can start, looking at that. And that is something parents have talked about. When you have a parent that has a student at Nautilus Elementary or Havasu High, and then they need to get their middle schooler all the way to the south side of town to Thunderbolt, it sometimes with traffic, especially when snowbirds are here, it can become an issue. And so I would ask, as we look at this, that would be some of the things that we consider, especially with the learning time. And I do agree, a trial basis for a year, but I would say that we are going to have to understand as a governing board, we're going to have to ask and be okay lowering the risk tolerance. I know that we have put a lot of mandate on our principals and our teachers to raise student achievement. So I think that we need to be understanding during this change that there could be, some differences in those numbers, and that we need to be okay with that going into this. And then the other ask that I have is that we initiate professional development days, that there would be no school on that day, and the teachers are here during contracted time, and there's no school for students, and we have professional development days, and we can see what that would look like for our teachers. And not sure how many we would need, but I think it's important. It would help with pulling back some of the concern for teachers of staying late on a Friday. So that is my ask in looking at this.
Yeah, I kind of, as we're thinking through this, is, do the no half days, but do guaranteed professional days and guaranteed planning days within the quarters. So every quarter they have a fully dedicated planning and preparation day,
Correct.
and then a fully blocked off professional development day.
Yeah. And at the same time in doing that, we have to also consider graduation, and that we're outside and we can't push too far in, or
Exactly.
everybody's going to be getting rushed to the hospital and with the heat stress.
And
we
to be
need to
clear, we're not
consider
talking
that.
about for this upcoming
Correct.
school year,
No.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for the purposes of this discussion, I think we should limit it to just this school
Yeah.
year.
Fair
We've
enough.
already published our calendar, so
Correct.
I do not think that we
Yeah.
should mess with any of the
Yeah,
dates.
no, totally agree.
Yeah. So this is just to move from Thursday
To Friday.
to Friday, or to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And one more thing. So as part of that committee, we kind of took an internal poll to see who could support the different ideas that we had. So one of them was just keeping the early release day on Thursday. One of them was changing it to Friday. I did say that I could support changing it to Friday with the different guardrails that we've already talked about. So for instance, strengthening our attendance policy, and doing it just as a trial basis. So I could support changing it to Friday, but my preference actually would just be to keep it on Thursday.
All right. Anyone else? All right. So it sounds like the consensus of the board would be the board majority to move it to Friday, giving the recommendations of the committee for the
Strengthening of the policies.
the strengthening of our policies when it comes to attendance, and then could
you pull up
could
the
you pull up the
recommendations from the committee? Yes.
While you're doing that, I do want to say one thing in support of Friday that was brought up at our committee meeting was that it might be beneficial to students to have a 4-day block of that full day,
Yeah.
and then have an early release on the weekend, or not
So
the
that,
weekend,
yeah,
but Friday.
and that too,
So-
instead of having that, we're going full day, oh, we're off, and then it's kind of, we just got to get through Friday. It's Monday through Thursday, we're going at it. Friday, we're a little bit easier, we get out early. Um, I, to me, that just makes more sense, especially with the parents outpour. And again, if it doesn't work, I say we only do this for the 1 year and that we readdress it. And if it doesn't work, then we can come back to the community and say, look, we went up 6-7% in absence for both
Right.
our students and our teachers.
Yeah.
Our proficiencies went down. This doesn't work. We have to do something else. You know, because I think the community outcry really is they want Fridays. Why are we doing this on Thursdays?
Yeah.
And ultimately, we are subject to the public. That is
Yeah.
our background check. And so that again, I
Right.
think that's what.
And-
And I want to take the optimistic view of this and consider that there might be unintended positive consequences as well. My fear in this, and we're talking about risk tolerance, but my fear on this is that if we move from Thursday to Friday, we're going to be taking early release, which right now subtracts an hour and a half from our weekly schedule. If we move it to Friday and we have a lot of Friday absences, then basically early release means that we're taking 6.5 hours off of student learning each week. That's a lot. That's a 20% reduction.
Yeah. So, and I agree with you. And it looked like our absences were already at 29% Thursday, Friday, and Monday already.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's already a percentage that are saying, "Hey, we're out of here anyways."
Yep.
I also think for just working people, it's like a lot easier to tell your boss, "Hey, it's Friday. I got to go get the kids," versus Thursday, middle of the work week. You still got another day tomorrow. I know professional levels. Thursdays is a lot of times is the hustle day to get things done before Friday. I just think it would alleviate a lot of pressure just on the community in general. Yeah.
I do have a question for Ms. Olson. If we looked at, obviously, the professional development days, that type of thing, we would need to move to the, any changing of dates would need to move to the next school year. But what about the start times? Is that something with the calendar that we've approved, if this board wanted to consider looking at changing and staggering times, would that be an issue with having already approved the calendar?
I think, and I don't work at the high school, but I know that we are already building master schedules at
Okay.
the high school level and at
That's
the
what I
middle
thought so.
school.
Okay.
And so I think that,
Okay.
while I
No,
think that a staggered time could be beneficial to our district, I don't think that next school year is the
Correct.
right year
Okay.
to do
Perfect.
that. And can I also address the idea of adding in professional development days?
Yes.
We do have to remember that 180 days is required by law for students to be in school. So we would have to either start earlier in July or extend beyond Memorial Day, which I know is a very, it's a hot topic with the public, is starting that early.
And I just want to confirm that it is both the 180 days and the hours.
That is
not
correct.
Either or.
That is
Correct.
correct.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I would like to know if there's any feedback from teachers or staff in the room in regards to the staggering times or the professional development days. Just your feedback. I would love to hear from you while we're here. Please step up to the mic. Anybody? All right. Oh, can we turn the mic back on, please? Or did it die?
I'm a teacher. Y'all can hear me.
My concern with the days off that you're talking about, my first thought was the same thing that Christy said, is that interferes with our 180
Correct.
days. My other concern with that is the time, you're talking about maybe one a quarter.
Mhm.
I understand it's more hours, but it is fewer opportunities for teachers to touch base with each other, vertical articulation, horizontal articulation, as we are using materials. Next year, we're going to be implementing this new Tier 2 curriculum. Teachers need opportunities regularly, more frequently, to be able to conference with each other. What's working for you? What's not? Hey, your kids are doing great at this. What are you doing? Can you share with me? All of those little moments, even if they're shorter, are really important for maintaining consistency and for staff being able to support each other when we're implementing programs and through these professional developments. So that would be my
Okay.
take on that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I represent a really small pocket, but an important one because it's doing so well in our district, and that's CTE.
Yes.
So the staggering of the times would impact our preschool,
Okay.
it would impact
Mm,
auto, it
yeah.
would impact fashion, it would impact
Okay.
culinary, and we could go down the list. Those are just ones off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Because we work so closely with our stakeholders, and there's such a big part of our CTE program, staggering that time, we'd have to really think about how that would work if the high school is impacted with that for CTE. Also, as a parent,
You're good.
I have done all three schools, and it is totally. Can you? Do I need to be louder? Sorry. It is totally doable in this town. I mean, so many of us have lived in other places, and Havasu is totally capable for us to have all the schools start at the same time. That is feasible. Now, if you start at the same time, the biggest problem is the pickup times. And
Right.
so having the pickup times at the same time, because the clubs and the sports, and
Right.
even at the elementary school level, all the way up to the high school, have those traditional schedules that impact their outside of school stuff, which is going to impact your parents greatly to mess with that. So those are just my
Okay.
two takes.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so a long time ago, when I was, well, I'm still a mother, but when my children attended, I had one at Daytona and one at Thunderbolt. She was supposed to actually go to Thunderbolt, but they had a late start that didn't work with my schedule as a teacher. She was gonna have to get on a bus before I was even leaving for school. So busing is it was a big thing at one time with them even Thunderbolt starting later. So she went to Daytona, but then they never changed the time at Thunderbolt. So then I still was in a position where I had to find someone, not that she couldn't get on a bus, but it seems stupid to put her at a bus stop as I'm driving off to work and I live close by. So it's hard with busing, so that's a big concern, but actually I'm sure today when people take their kids, or if their kids at a different school and they're still a teacher, that can cause a problem with just even teachers and the community. So that would just be one concern. And as far as the professional development days, we used to do that. I mean, we used to not have early release days. We had 2 days a year that we had professional development. And the idea of getting them back and early release would be amazing, but I think it could probably be worked in with our schedule because we have a day off in April.
Right.
And then at the beginning of the year, that week we come back early, could one day be devoted to
Right.
just a
Okay.
thought
Yeah,
on that.
absolutely.
But the busing was hard years ago, and I think it's probably only getting more difficult with the lack of bus drivers.
it
So
is.
something to think about.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, good evening.
Christina Musselman, Starling. Two things. One, thinking of the staggered start time, I'm just thinking of a mom. My husband's a fireman. I'm a teacher. I will tell you, my 17-year-old son does not get out of bed like he's supposed to. And so if we have a meeting early at 7 o'clock on a day where I have to be at an IEP meeting, I am texting, calling, asking coworkers, can you check that Landon left the house? All the things. And so that would be a concern of that staggered start time for a high schooler. That's just my take because they don't get up when they're supposed to. I also know there is research on if they start their day later that is
There is.
good. But I'm going to say that as a mom, I would stress out that he didn't get school. Second thing is the extension of the school day. I know that would not happen next year. The one thing that it would be a benefit, I'm just going to say, and don't shoot the messenger right now. I think kids need math intervention. And so currently with our schedule, we are seeing results with our data for reading. We have that tiered schedule where they are getting that 45 to 50 minutes of tier instruction for tier 3 and tier 2. We're working on that together. My concern is as a teacher, I want math intervention time built in every day. I don't want it just on a random day, 1 day a week. And so that would be something to build in. And then my concern is there are students that need both. And so I understand we can take tier time and split it, but there are going to be children that need both math and reading intervention. So if we could just be creative in that way for math intervention.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening, Carol Nowakowski. I don't know where I'm at. Let's hear. Staggered times lived through that with the Daytona Thunderbolt thing. Yeah, our current issue right now at Thunderbolt is we have it bus down and we have our kids in the farthest location not getting transported. And so when we have staggered times, that's going to, with already one bus down. So right now, that's my biggest concern, especially during testing time. We have our kids at the farthest location off Lake not getting picked up.
So you,
I can see.
so
that
we have kids right now not coming to school because we have a bus. Do we not?
or
and,
coming late.
and do we not have a like a
I don't
backup
know.
bus?
I don't know.
That's what I was just gonna ask. Do we not have one? in
That is
Days?
absolutely unacceptable.
I-
But
I
thank
don't
you.
know.
I think that will be another
But
item
that
that we need
is-
to address. But that's
But I thought this would be a great opportunity to share that.
Thank you. we can talk about it.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Technically
Not on this subject, but yeah.
We will.
Thank you, Mr. Lukowski. Well, we can bring that up in announcements. Holy cow. All right. Is there anyone else? All right. Well, thank you all for your feedback. It's very much appreciated. Bring it back to the governing board. Is there any further discussion for you guys in this discussion item?
As a parent for the start time, I think that would be hard if it was staggered because they have breakfast in the morning too. So I'm okay with like one being at 7:30 and one getting 7:45. It makes it easier for someone like me. As for after school, that's my issue because I was picking up Sky and then running over to Nautilus. So no matter what, I was 15 minutes late every day.
Yeah.
So
And we can definitely look at a model that everyone starts at the same time, but the release time is staggered. You know, that's definitely a model that we could, this board
and I
can
wonder if it
consider.
would work for elementary being just that little bit later so they could do more of the math and such, you know, compared
Yeah.
to the other between Thunderbolt and high school.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All right, then at this time, I close the discussion and move to item 4 for announcements. So in announcements, we definitely would love for Dr. Stone to look into our bus issue at Thunderbolt and see why we do not have a substitute bus picking up students. And if we could have transportation be at our next governing board meeting next Thursday, I would love for our transportation director to explain to this governing board why this is happening and what we can do to support them to ensure that, you know, we come up as a board with a solution to support our transportation department to make sure students are being picked up. So,
That
awesome.
bus has been down for a minute, hasn't it? I've seen the emails.
Could you, Miss Barney, how many students are missing school right now because of that?
I mean, I'd have to look at our records. I don't want to throw a number out.
Just a guess. I'm not going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
When we looked for 8th graders, there were 26 8th graders on the bus when we were doing science testing. I did not look up each individual student to see if they made it.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
That doesn't include 7th graders.
And there is some statutory funding issues with the way that buses are funded at the state level, and Havasu
That
is unique.
that is being worked on actually. So
And I
I'm
know somebody that might be going to the state level,
Well,
so maybe they can.
that is
address
actually so right now myself and Representative Biasucci are working on changing the current state legislation policy for buses. Right now, if a student, the way the law is, if a student lives within a mile of the school, they have to walk. And myself, Representative Biasucci, and Matt Gress, the chair of Education Committee, are looking to repeal that law
Well, it's
and
the
then look at
funding.
what the funding will do
Exactly.
for rural, especially here. And so that is something that's currently being worked on for next session.
So the
I'm
property
glad
is
that
with
you're looking that up
Yeah.
because when I was running to be on the school board, that was one of the things that was a blocking wall right there,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
couldn't get any further.
Well, again, it's the funding. So any property within 1 mile of a school is not counted towards funds
Yeah, and that's
to the
where we
district
need to
for
change it.
busing.
Correct.
And we just all of our schools are within 1 mile of most of the town. So
Yeah.
it causes quite a problem.
It's true. All right. Any other announcements from the governing board? All right, then if there be none, Dr. Stone, Mr. Becker, any feedback from superintendents?
Yep, I think most of you said it, but thank you to Ms. Olson and her leadership for the way that she guided that committee. And there's a lot of opinions, as you can see. Some people didn't step forward, but everybody has opinions. And in that committee, the conversations were held professionally and to a point. And then also thank you to the committee members that served well into a 5:30 p.m. night where they reported to work at 7:30 that morning. So thank you to the committee and Ms. Olson.
Right, thank you. All right, if there be no other discussion or announcements, move to item 5.1. I need a motion and a second to adjourn, please.
Move to adjourn.
I second.
All right, if the secretary would call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Meeting is adjourned.